So here's our 4 types of transportation. Again, it should be familiar because we've covered these in coasts. With a slight difference, we'll put it into river's context. So solution first of all, I know we've just talked about solution as a method of erosion. So things can be eroded and dissolved from the banks. It's a way of actually taking away material. Material can also be transported in solution too. So once it's been eroded and it's already dissolved in the water, it's going to go wherever the river goes. So it's also a type of transportation. So here's our river. And any of these tiny, tiny little particles that are dissolved in the river as the river water moves in that direction are going to be carried along with it. Suspension is pretty much the same, just with slightly bigger particles. So again, here's our river. If we've got some like sand-sized particles or something a little bit smaller than that, anything that's quite light and is able to be picked up by the force of the moving water will just be held in the water. And again, if the river's moving in that direction, all these little particles are going to do the same. If you've ever been down to a river and you think it looks really, really dirty because it looks quite brown, the chances are it's not actually that dirty. It's just it's got lots and lots of different particles being held in suspension, which makes it look like it's dirty and brown. But it's not, it's just the little particles that are trapped in the water being moved rather than anything else. Saltation, again, same as in coasts. Let's do our riverbed down here and our moving water. So anything that's a little bit bigger than our particles that are in suspension might be moved by saltation. So they're probably a little bit too big to be picked up by the force of the water, but they're still small enough that they can be moved a little bit. What happens to these is they just kind of jump and hop along the riverbed. I used this analogy last time, I think. If you were to get some table salt and you were to pour that out onto your kitchen counter, all the little tiny particles of salt as they hit the counter would kind of move in a hopping motion, hence the term saltation. And our final one, traction. So anything bigger than sand and tiny little pebbles that are moved by saltation are going to be moved by traction. And this might only happen when our river is moving really, really fast. So it might only happen when there's a big flood, for example. So if you've got some quite sort of round shaped boulders, they may kind of just roll along the bottom of the riverbed. Or if you've got anything that's a little bit more angular that kind of can't roll, the water can kind of get underneath any loose little bits and can just push it along the riverbed. That's all it is. But again, you've got to have really, really fast moving water to move these bigger boulders and items. So they either roll or they kind of get slid across the bottom. And that's it.